Well, hello, everyone. This is Wilson Cole, president of Adams, Evans, and Ross. I'm joined by our in-house attorney and lovely daughter, Samantha. How are you doing, Samantha?
Doing great. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, whatever hour it is in the office today.
I understand. Well, Sam and I work in different locations, and so part of the building that she's in, she's safe and sound, but evidently adjacent buildings had caught on fire. And so there's a little bit of a smoke smell. So if you see a breeze blowing in the background there, that's what it is. So she passes out. We'll go ahead and end this pretty quick. But anyhow, speaking of fires, whenever someone has a debtor that doesn't pay them, that's probably about as big of a wildfire as they're going to have. And they get irritated with it, and I understand why they get irritated with it. And if it runs through collections, the good news is 4 out of 5 we're going to collect. Bad news is 1 out of 5 we're not. And then we recommend about half of them for suit, which makes the client typically more irritated at their debtor, and I understand. But then it goes into the legal system. And as it's going through the legal system, or even if it's in collection, we have debtors that make offers. And if anyone has worked with me for a long period of time, I don't necessarily like offers, but as Sam's going to explain here in just a second, we have to bring these offers to you. If they make an offer, if they owe you $10,000 and they make an offer for $2,000 and we take it to you and you say, I'm not going to pay it, or I'm not going to accept it. I want them to pay the full amount. I don't want any offers over, unless they're up to $7,000 or $8,000, don't accept. If they make an offer over that $2,000, we still have to bring that offer and make you aware of it. Sam, will you kind of explain the legalities of that?
Yeah, there are times where we can have a range and we can work in that range without coming back to you of every, $15 increment. However, especially if there has been an amount of time that has passed of, let's say, kind of think of it as mile markers. They offer this, we negotiate back and forth for 4 months, and the client had rejected this and said, I'll only take X when this was offered. 4 months later, if they're offering something else, we've got to bring it to you, because a lot could have happened in that time period where now you were thinking, okay, 2,000, I'm only going to accept 8,000, but 5,000 right in that moment would be good just to get it off your desk.
That's a good point. Maybe the client's circumstances have changed.
The client's circumstances have changed or things like that. So it puts a ton of liability on us. If we reject the 5, it goes into litigation. And then they're like, well, what do you mean that I could have had 5 and not had to go through litigation? So we have to bring everything to you. And I know that, I'm on the receiving end a lot of times, especially once it's gone legal, of coming back and saying, hey, they're offering this. Well, I told you not to bring. I understand, but I have to bring it to you. 1, ethically, but 2, as a CYA.
Yep. So we have to, and it's not, if we have a relatively, and Sam's got a good point, if we've got a range of, I'll accept 8,000, I'll go as low as 6. We'll go back and forth and we have that range. But if time passes, or if it's about to escalate to the next level, we'll bring you the offers, because we truly are looking after your behalf. Because here's the reality of it. When it's in collections, you're going to pay a lower collection fee, because even though we have attorneys on staff, we're not a law firm and they haven't started litigation. So we offer our clients the lower collection rate. If it has to go out to a forwarding attorney, that rate goes to 35% and you have to pay court costs. So let's say you're, saying I wouldn't take any less than $8,000, but now all of a sudden they're at $7,000, and you said that, your bottom was 8, but now it's time to go to suit. We will still send it out to suit. We work for you. We'll handle it any way that you want. But what inevitably happens is if it does go out to suit, you may wind up seeing, grossing more money, but actually netting less because of the higher percentage and the attorney's fees and things along those lines. And then also there's some terminology that we ran into over the last few months where, different terminology the courts will use, such as, payments, balloon payments, and things along those lines. And typically
stipulated judgments as well.
On what?
Stipulated judgments.
Stipulated judgment. If through collections, we have to voluntarily persuade them to cut a check. Once it goes into suit, we have some tools that can pretty much put teeth into a payment plan. Sam, kind of explain what a stipulated judgment is when it comes to terms of some type of negotiated settlement.
Sure, and stipulated judgment's the most common. There are a couple others that are used, and I usually highlight those when I'm sending them out because each state likes to, put their own flair on things. It's kind of, is it a Coke, a soda, or a pop? Every, region has its own thing. But stipulated judgment is in essence where everybody comes and says, this is what's going to be paid. And then there are usually terms in there of it's going to be paid by these dates. And if they miss one payment, they have 10 days to cure it. If they miss two payments, instead of having to go through litigation, you automatically get the judgment for the amount that was either settled on or the full amount owed.
Okay, so depending on the agreement, and we'll use that to where, let's say if they come to us right after they get served, we're 3 months into it, and they say, okay, we'll pay, $1,000 to $5,000, $10,000 a month, whatever it is, but we'll sign a stipulated judgment. So what that means for our clients is if they don't pay, they no longer have to go to court or jump through hoops 99.999% out of the time. It's just the attorney files that stipulated judgment, and now we can, once the judge signs off on it, we can go ahead and start garnishing accounts if it's a garnishable state. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about balloon payments? I'm assuming a balloon payment isn't where somebody's paying in helium balloons or either birthday red, white, and or 4th of July red, white, and balloons. What exactly in a settlement is a balloon payment?
That is, and I've seen some that it's, okay, you're going to get, this much, for the first 4 months, and then the remainder. And in a lot of settlements, it will say the remaining balance or total amount due. Sometimes, especially if you have, and I've run into this more, if you have a firm that also does a lot of real estate, balloon payment is very common in real estate.
Okay.
And so it'll be in there of that final payment, then, balloons up to, so it gives them time to inflate that amount of cash to give you,
okay,
to pay it off. And so that's, if you're seeing something, because a lot of times we'll run into where, and, the legal system uses its own set of rules when it comes to payments. And so you'll see where you're looking at it and go, okay, they said I'm getting this amount, but none of this is adding up. Okay. And usually if it's not adding up, there's some sort of remainder payment or gradually increasing payments or things along those lines that come into play.
And I agree with you on that. And so there typically is a balloon payment. But the best thing for the client to do, if something doesn't add up on the payments, they need to bring it to our attention because yes, it doesn't happen often, but, sometimes the courts can get confused on their court math. And so, we can go back and have the attorneys argue a different way. So the biggest thing is, settlements are, it's time value of money. And, $1,000 today is better than $1,000 in 12 months. And so then it comes down to clients' perspective. And I have some clients that say, Wilson, I'm not going to sue under any conditions, so do what you need to do. Then I have other clients say, I will chase them over hell and God's creation. They're going to pay me every dime, and it's a $750 account. And that's fine. there comes a time though where you have to find that balance based on what the client wants to do. We're emotionally detached. The attorneys are emotionally detached. We will bring a recommendation to you in some cases. In some cases, we may say, you know what, this is so on the fence, it really comes down to you. But ultimately, unless it's some type of court-ordered settlement, the debtor brings the settlement to the client. The client is 100% in control over if that's accepted. Sam, any closing statements before we wrap up this issue of Monday morning meeting?
I think that's it.
Okay, so settlements, are a tool, but the reason we have to bring settlements to you is just we're required, not only as attorneys over on Sam's side, but as agents on our side, we have to bring those offers directly to you. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, and we will see you next week.